Well, we're going to do a John Philip Sousa number called Fairest of the Fair. Now, this one's a little less military and a little more melodic for a John Philip Sousa piece written in 1908 at the Boston Food Fair. Allegedly, he was thinking of a girl he had met at a previous food fair when he wrote this. Let's listen to the fine piece of John Philip Sousa from your Joliet American Legion Band, Fairest of the Fair. I must say, the 20th century brought so many groundbreaking women, from Susan B. Anthony to Sally Ride. Oh, what the heck, I'm a racing fan, to Janet Guthrie. But let's not forget Julie Giroux, the great composer out of the state of Louisiana, who wrote No Finer Calling, 3 movements, a symphony dedicated to the United States Air Force core values: integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. We'll play the first couple of movements from Integrity March and Fanfare, Integrity First, and from Far From Home, Service Before Self. For years, Lee Greenwood wanted to write a song about his love for this country. And he said that after the tragic shooting down of Korean Airlines Flight 007 in September of 1983, it all came to him so naturally. God bless the USA.
Hang on. You gotta batten down the hatches.
as some very special guests walk by. Thank you so much for being here today. Benediction, a song that was meant to bring together songs sung at a benediction, the piece including Benediction, O Father, Let My Love Remain, and Shepherd of Israel. We return again to John Philip Sousa, Pathfinder of Panama. 12 times Sousa's band was at a fair or exposition and composed a piece in commemoration of it. This was from the Panama Pacific Exhibition in San Francisco, 1915, celebrating that, hey, going by sea from San Francisco to New York just got 8,000 miles shorter.
Let's give a nice round of applause to the American Legion Band who provided the prelude music this morning, and the director, Mike Fisk. Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Nick.
And welcome to the 20th annual Memorial Day celebration here at the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery. What a wonderful milestone of remembrance for all our men and women in the armed services of this great country. On behalf of everyone here at the cemetery, I want to welcome you. My name is Nick Thomas, and I'll be your Master of Ceremonies for this wonderful and very moving ceremony. For those of you that are in the audience, by a show of hands, how many of you are here for the first time for this celebration? Well, since a good majority of you, this is your first time, I can tell you that you're going to leave here a changed person after this event. It's very moving with all the symbolism, pageantry, honor, and respect you will see and participate in this ceremony. So now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the director of the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, Director Quincy McCall, and this is her second year of duty here at the cemetery. So let's give a nice big round of applause to Director McCall.
Good morning. On behalf of the Department of Veterans Affairs and the National Cemetery Administration, I would like to welcome you to this year's Memorial Day ceremony here at Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery. As Americans, we commemorated Memorial Day since 1868. For over 150 years, we've set aside this day to remember service members and death and celebrate their lives. But with the passage of time, it is easy to lose sight of the true meaning behind the day. It's now considered by many as the unofficial start of summer, filled with beaches, barbecues, and bargains at your favorite retail store. Despite these changes, our deep sense of patriotism and civic pride ensures we continue to honor the fallen with displays of flags, parades, and participating in events like this one. It is on this special day that both individually and collectively we pause and reflect, honor, and glory, and express our sincere gratitude to the countless thousands who have made the supreme sacrifice for us, so that we may always enjoy the blessings of freedom and liberty. Before I take my seat, I would like to thank the staff, volunteers, and contractors here at the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery for their dedication, loyalty, commitment every day of the year to serving veterans and their loved ones. In conclusion, let's take Memorial Day beyond today. Honor and remember our heroes every day and encourage others to do the same. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. May God bless you, our service members, and the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Director McCall. Just a little history of the cemetery. It was dedicated on October 3rd, 1999 as the 117th National Cemetery with the Department of Veterans Affairs National Cemetery Administration. There are over 48,000 buried here, and when the cemetery is at capacity, it can hold over 400,000. So now I'd ask, as we begin our program, I'd ask that everyone rise for the advancement of the colors, and that's going to be by the John Whiteside Ceremonial Color Guard. And now I'd ask you to remain standing, and I invite Mr. Kevin Johnson to come up and sing the national anthem, accompanied by the American Legion Band.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the rampart we watched was so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, said us that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Kevin. And now I'd invite our essay winners from the Elwood Consolidated Grade School to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our invocation now will be led by Dennis Mitzner. He's a Memorial Squad member here at the cemetery and a Vietnam veteran.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we at Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery today remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms we enjoy every day, we think of how they have followed in the footsteps of your Son, our Savior. Please hold our servicemen and women in your strong arms. Cover them with your sheltering grace and your presence as they stand in the gap for our protection. We also remember the families of our troops. We ask for your unique blessings to fill their homes as we pray your peace and strength will fill their lives. May the members of America's military be supplied with courage to face each day, and may they trust in the Lord's almighty power to accomplish this task. Let our military brothers and sisters, our comrades, feel our love and support every day. And in your name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Dennis. Everyone can be seated. Of course, I should do an addendum to that prayer and say, please, Lord, no rain until 1:30. All right, so think good thoughts. So now it's my pleasure to welcome Congressman Bill Foster to the podium. And I've been the MC, I think, for 10 years here, and I've been one of the singers for 14 years. And Congressman Foster always makes it a point to come here. So we're so happy to have him once again this year. So let's give him a nice big round of applause and welcome him to the podium.
Thank you so much, and I will be as brief in order to try to maximize the chance that we all escape the rain here. Well, first off, good morning, and thank you for inviting me again to join you as we mark Memorial Day. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Congressman Bill Foster. I'm proud to represent the 11th District of Illinois in the House of Representatives of the United States of America. And as a member of Congress, my time and attention is split many ways, and never more so than on Memorial Day weekend, where across my district and across Illinois, ceremonies are held in remembrance of our fallen heroes. There are simply too many ceremonies for any one person to attend, and that's a good thing. But for most all of the years that I have represented this area, I have chosen to join you here at Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery because when I read that in a typical week, over 80 services are held here for our service members, or that in the last few days, 200 volunteers placed over 40,000 American flags on the grave markers of our servicemen and women interred here, that I know that I have made the right decision. You know, throughout my time in Congress, I've often had the privilege of meeting with many members of our armed forces and our veterans and their loved ones. And I'm always struck by the humility that these individuals show when speaking about their experiences, and I'm humbled by their strength and their commitment to our nation. And I'm glad to see so many people here today showing gratitude for those among us who've served or are currently serving. And on Memorial Day, we especially remember and honor those who have never made it back home to their loved ones. They paid the ultimate price in defense of our nation and the freedoms that allow us to pursue our dreams here at home. None of it would be possible without their sacrifice. So today, we take a moment to honor each one of them. You know, history has taught us that whenever disaster strikes or dictatorships threaten the free world, the world looks to the United States to lead. They look to us because they know that the men and women who wear our nation's uniform are extraordinary people who never cease to meet the challenges of our time. And while these individuals know the risks of their service, they accept them so that others do not have to. They never give up fighting for us. So on behalf of the citizens of the 11th District of Illinois, thank you all.
Thank you, Congressman Foster. And now we're going to continue the program with the singing of America the Beautiful, and that's going to be with the American Legion Band and the vocalists Mike and Ann Zaffron, Megan Goolsby, Bobby McNeely, Rita Matichak-Berglund, Yvette Smith, and myself. I'll try and stay on pitch. I could hear you singing out there. So that's a good thing. All right, next we're going to continue with the raising of the flag. And it is going to be raised by Chris Lowe, and he is a work lead here at the cemetery who works out in the field. And I think we should, as we're raising the flag, let's all stand. But right now, why don't we give, there's a lot of people that put this together today, but then there's also 360 some other days that they're working. Some of those days you could double because they put in double time. So let's give our volunteers, our staff here at the cemetery, a big round of applause. I can't hear you. All right, so let's everyone stand for the raising of the flag behind us. Please be seated. Thank you, Chris. Now, sometime during the program this afternoon, pilot Tom Buck is going to fly over. So we never know when that's going to happen until you start to hear some noise. So then hold on to your ears, and he's going to be flying in a World War II Avenger. So you'll know when he's here. All right? So now at this time, I would like to welcome to the podium President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, and his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, who will offer some remarks. Mr. President.
The National Cemetery System was instituted in July 1862 when Congress authorized President Abraham Lincoln to purchase grounds to be used as a national cemetery for soldiers who shall have died in the service of the country. By the end of 1864, approximately 27 such resting places had been so designated, and of course, one of President Lincoln's most famous speeches was given on November 19, 1863, at the dedication of Gettysburg National Cemetery. As people who portray Abraham and Mary Lincoln, it has truly been our honor and privilege to be associated with a number of national cemeteries, but especially this one. We were here in 1999 for the original dedication and have been honored to participate in Memorial Day ceremonies here nearly every year since then. We always feel truly humbled to be in the presence of those who rest here and their families, to pay tribute to those who have given to their country the last full measure of devotion.
If any of you are here at the original dedication and recall it as being a nice, clean, warm summer evening, you weren't here. It was the most miserable day I think we've ever had. The weather was at best, I think, described as inclement. With all the speakers that were lined up to give speeches that afternoon, there was great concern that it was going to be pretty miserable for everyone sitting out in the open in all the rain and cold. But as it turned out, the longest speech of the afternoon would be given by me, just 2 minutes. So if you will permit me, I will repeat that speech this afternoon as approximate as appropriate today as it was in 1863 when I gave it at a cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we're engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as the final resting place for those who here gave their lives, that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be here dedicated to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. Rather, it is for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they here gave the last full measure of devotion, and that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth.
Thank you, Mr. President and Mrs. Lincoln. I don't know about you, but for 20 years, that has been Abraham Lincoln and his wife, Mary. It's a great history lesson for all of us. I think I'm back in the days of Abraham Lincoln. They are the best. So let's give them a nice, big round of applause. Next on our program, Steve Vaughn is going to offer a song reflection today entitled Soldier One Last Time.
Hello, everybody. I wrote this song inspired by this cemetery. The first words of the song say, Grandpa's in formation now, a soldier one last time. I wrote it after we buried my father here, and as I looked at the gravestones, and as you look at the gravestones of your loved ones, I think you can remember that as they're laid to rest here, they are a soldier one last time. Grandpa's in formation now, a soldier one last time, with his brothers in the fight, stop the devil's climb. Mothers cried, young hearts died, as the boys went off to war. My dad was in the Air Force. That's the highlight of the day. Grandpa's in formation now, standing tall once more. Grandma fell in love with a boy that farmed the land. Smiles kept coming easy and the world was theirs to plan. slowly it came leaking in, and we wish it wasn't so. Fighting started, young men dying, young men had to go. Grandpa's in formation now, a soldier one last time, with his brothers in the fight. Grandpa went to war then, his dreams were left to grow. Brave was never easy, but the young men formed a row. A country came together, a war was fought and won. Fighting started, young men died, and young men had to go. So many years ago now that victory tasted right. Mended lives and all those dreams, the land rebuilt with might. Grandpa did his part, thousands more like him. We all learned a lesson in what it takes to win. Grandpa's in formation now, a soldier one last time, with his brothers in the fight that stopped the devil's climb. Mothers cried and young hearts died as boys went off to war. Grandpa's in formation now, standing tall once more. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I told you never know when the planes are going to come, and I think it's very special that, Steve, you acknowledge that your dad was in the Air Force, so he heard you singing. I think everybody here that's interred at the cemetery knows that we're all here. So we're going to continue our program, and it's my great honor to welcome to this 20th Annual Memorial Day ceremony here at the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, Mr. Alan J. Lynch. He is a native of Illinois. He's a combat veteran of the Vietnam War and a Medal of Honor recipient. Let's all wave. Mr. Lynch has a lifelong career of devoted service to the U.S. military veterans. He's also the author of Zero to Hero, From Bullied Kid to Warrior. So let's give him a nice big welcome here to the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, to Mr. Lynch joining us for our special program this year.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please. Thank you. I don't know how you follow the Gettysburg Address. There's a, this weekend is always kind of a mixed emotion. On TV, we get a lot of war movies, and for some reason, they seem to think that that's appropriate, and maybe it is. But one of my favorite movies, because I think it says so much about this country and about who we are, is Saving Private Ryan. It's probably one of the best World War II movies made. It's about a patrol that goes out to find the last son of a family. And this young man has made it through D-Day, and he's now somewhere in Normandy. And Tom Hanks leads a patrol
to find Private Ryan because he is the last son of a family that has already given 2 other sons to the defense of this nation. And the story revolves around how they find Private Ryan. And here he is at the forward edge of the battle area. He's up there at the front. And just as Tom Hanks's patrol finds Private Ryan, the Germans start a counterattack. Now think of it. Their job is to save Private Ryan, to find him, and Private Ryan refuses to leave his brothers because he knows what's coming. He says, I'll go after this, but I'm not leaving my brothers right now. I'm not doing it. And so that patrol stays. And in the midst of this counterattack, the character played by Tom Hanks is shot. And as he lays dying, Private Ryan runs up to him, and Tom Hanks looks at him and he says, "Earn this." And then we are fast forwarded to many, many years later. Now Private Ryan, an old man, stands before the grave of Tom Hanks. And he says to his wife, "Tell him I was a good man. Tell him that his sacrifice and the sacrifice of those men that died trying to save me was worth it. Tell him that I earned it." And that is us, I hope, today. Because the men and the women that are in this cemetery have given the last full measure. They have died so that we may live in freedom. They didn't die for the Republican or the Democrat Party. They didn't die for the left or for the right. Like all of us who served, they took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. See, it's our Constitution, not political parties, that give us our rights. It goes all the way back, doesn't it? It goes all the way back to the Declaration of Independence where they wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." And President Lincoln said it too, didn't he, in the Gettysburg Address? 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth in this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. That's what we're about. It's not about party. It's not about politic. It is about a Constitution that guarantees us our rights, our freedom. And as long as we have young men and now young women that are willing to put themselves on the line for this country, to sacrifice themselves, this country will continue. You see, we are only one generation away, just one, from losing everything. The day one generation says, it's not worth fighting for, it's not worth dying for, it's not worth sacrificing for, it's not worth losing an arm, a leg, my mind for, this country will not exist. Our country is worth fighting for only as long as we remain a free people. It is worth sacrificing for only as long as our Constitution remains intact. That's why we fight. President Lincoln said it so well. We can't dedicate this ground. They've already done it for us. It's up to us, the living, to make sure that the things that we fought for, the things that we lost arms and legs for, the things that we died for remain intact. It's up to us to teach our young people that freedom is not deserved. It has been bought and it has been paid for by people you don't even know. Because the men and women that serve this country serve all of us. They die for all of us. They give freedom to all of us, people they never even knew. And I want to close with this. Remember something. Many of these men and women that have died for this country will never get to hold their young ones, will never get to walk their daughter down the aisle, will never get to have that dance with their son, will never get to hold a grandchild. They gave all that up so that we could. We owe it to them to make sure that this country was worthy of their sacrifice. We have to rededicate ourselves every Memorial Day to make sure that it is not party, it is not politic, but it is America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, that continues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. As I said earlier, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I think this was one of the most powerful addresses we've heard. So let's give him another big round of applause. Next, as you can see, we have a group of young men and women, the Coal City Intermediate Grade School Choir. They're going to come up and sing 2 selections. The choir is directed by Dr. Cindy Bennett, and they will be singing A Long Journey and Free Like Me. And when we're watching and listening to them, remember that these kids are the future of this country. applause for these kids. They sounded good and they look good too. Come on, I don't hear you. Let's give these kids some noise. They could have been eating their hamburgers and hot dogs early, but they decided that they'd come here for this very special event. So thanks, kids. All right, continuing, another very important part of this ceremony is the laying of the Memorial Day wreath to honor all the fallen. I would ask everyone to stand as the wreath is brought forward by Bill Greenwald, a Korean veteran, and Clifford Lauderdale, a Vietnam veteran, and they're members of the Memorial Squad here at the cemetery. Thank you, Bill and Clifford. Please be seated. Yeah, we can applaud. Yes, that's great. Next, I'd like to introduce Steve Adamus, and he's going to tell you a little bit about the essay contest and bring forth the students that read it. So, Steve, join me at the podium.
Thank you for sharing this special day at this special place where our heroes rest in honored glory. To the families, the Gold Star families, I want you to know that we share your sorrow. But we also take and honor the solemn pride you have for laying so costly a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom. May God bless you and watch over you forever. When you hear children's voices in song and the words you're about to hear, when the children speak, we need to listen, because they speak and they sing through their hearts. And when I look out at the children here today, America looks pretty darn good in the future. You've raised a wonderful generation. They'll do us proud because they love this country. You heard it in their music, and you're about to hear it in their words. Each year, the Elwood School District hosts an essay contest for the 8th grade class. There's a special teacher, Mrs. Teresa Rompala, who leads these children. I'm blessed because I get to read those essays. And it is tough to pick them because they're all good. That shows something about the children, their families, and the school district and what we're teaching our kids today. And today we have two young ladies, Kyla Calderon and Natty Baranek. When they speak in these essays, please listen to their words. And if you have to cry, like I did, do it. Because this is America and we're free to do that. Alan told you that. Teresa.
Thank you for having us. It is our honor and pleasure to take part in this essay contest every year. I look forward every year to share my passion and share it with my students as well. So this year, let me introduce you to Kayla Calderon.
Sometimes we struggle to find the one perfect word that encompasses every single person that has fought and died for the United States. In our minds, there is no such word, but I have one: star. According to dictionary.com, one definition of a star is a conventionalized figure, usually having 5 points, radiating from or disposed about a center. But I have another definition. I believe that a star is someone who should be celebrated, someone that should be honored, someone who is the bright spot in our country's darkness. I believe that a fallen soldier from our military is a star, and I have 5 points why. Point 1, selflessness. The fallen soldiers of our country's military put the country and its people above themselves. They died for us when they could have lived. Point 2, they protected our country from harm. They died for our rights and gave us a safe space. The American soldiers gave us everything. Point 3, the people who died in the military are admirably brave. They faced horrors that no one can imagine. And while they didn't make it out alive, their life has been sacrificed for people they don't even know. Point 4, leading on from sacrifices, the fallen soldiers sacrificed everything. They sacrificed time with their families, time with their loved ones. They sacrificed their lives. Point 5, they believed in our country enough to do their best. For the people who joined the military through a draft, they believed in the country enough to stay and try. For the people who chose to be in the military, they didn't have to do that. They could have had a perfectly safer life than the one that they chose, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I want to thank everybody in the military, dead or alive, that served or is currently serving. And I just want to say that, on a final note, to remember that on Memorial Day, we honor the stars in the sky who are smiling down upon us.
And next, we have Natty Baranek.
Memorial Day to me is being thankful for my freedom and being able to be with my family and friends on this day. I am thankful for the opportunity to be with my family and friends because the people we remember today lost their lives standing up for something they believe in. A risk they took was never seeing their family and friends ever again. So on this day, take a moment and think about the loved ones you still have in your life and how people had to lose their loved ones fighting for our freedoms. I would like to say to those families, I'm truly sorry for your loss, and thank you to the ones who died fighting for our lives and the ones still doing so. What Memorial Day means to me. Memorial. A day of memorial for the ones that lost their lives fighting for our country. They should be remembered on this day and every day. extravagant. The people still serving and the people that lost their lives are extravagant people. They had to fight for what they believe in with a risk of not coming home. Mesmerizing. The people who have served are truly mesmerizing and mean a lot to everyone. It is fascinating that people who served do so knowing they could lose their lives. They fought for freedom of strangers, and that should never be forgotten. Outstanding. They did outstanding work by fighting to keep our country free and protecting us from danger. I am grateful to them for all the freedoms I enjoy today. Respect. All who died serving this country deserve a lot of respect. They don't always get the respect they deserve. People use privilege that they fought for to disrespect them. We need to remember without their sacrifices, we wouldn't have all the freedom we have in this country. Inspirational. Every single person that has served and passed on was inspirational to me, my family, friends, and maybe even you. We should all try to be as brave as them. Authentic. These people are authentic. It takes genuine, one-of-a-kind person to be so selfless and put themselves in harm's way for someone else. They fought for their country, their loved ones, but also mine and yours. Long. The long-lasting peace that these wonderful people have created for us will be passed on for years. So on this day, take a minute to actually appreciate what they have done for us and helped us achieve in this country.
I think America is going to be in some pretty good hands in the future. Thank you for coming today, and God bless America.
It's hard to believe that those two are 8th graders. I teach college, and they sounded like college kids. So let's give them a nice big round of applause for their inspiring words. Next, we're going to continue with another musical selection, A Salute to the Armed Forces. And when you hear the song from the branch of the service that you were in, we'd like you to stand so we can acknowledge you. So if you were in the Army or the Marines or the Coast Guard or the Navy or the Air Force, stand so we can thank you for your service. But let's take a few minutes right now in silence to remember the people that can't stand, and we're honoring them today. So let's take a few seconds before we do the song. Come on, you can do a little bit louder than that for not us, but all the people that stood up. Come on! Now, as we conclude our ceremony here, I'd ask Dennis Misner to come back up to the podium to offer our benediction.
As we remember today all those interred in the many graves and columbariums, those who have come before us and given the greatest gift to our democratic nation, their lives. Also, we must remember that their duty and their honor are precious gifts that must be given to our families and the future of this great country. The duty of our veterans past and present is the fiber of the word freedom, and is stronger by our recognition of their service and sacrifice. We have honored that service and sacrifice today and should carry it forward for our children to honor. We must remember, freedom is not free. Someone paid. Today at Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, we stand to remember the most honorable amongst us, and we must continue to carry the burden of their sacrifice, lest we lose sight of what true freedom is. And we must remember it every day, 365 days a year. Today is for remembering. Stand in honor of them. Walk in their path of duty. Remember the cost and hold in your heart the cause of freedom. We remember today, Memorial Day, our veterans. God bless them, and God bless America.
Thank you, Dennis. And we're going to continue to conclude the ceremony with a rifle salute by the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery Memorial Squad, and that's going to be followed by echo taps played by trumpeters Ed Croby and Larry Richards, also members of the Memorial Squad. So the rifle salute. And I'd ask you to remain standing as we have the retirement of the colors by the John Whiteside Ceremonial Color Guard. Please be seated. On behalf of Quincy McCall, the director of the Abraham Lincoln Cemetery, all the staff here, and the countless number of volunteers who not only today, but every day of the year, honor the memories of the fallen servicemen and women, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this 20th annual Memorial Day ceremony here at the beautiful, and it's really, I think it's beautiful, Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery. I hope that you were inspired by the program and the words of Congressman Foster and Mr. Lynch. Let's give them another nice round of applause for joining us. I know that when you came in, you were given a program, or if you asked if you wanted a little glass of water, or you were given a pin. I'm going to tell Quincy next year they have to give out those little portable things of Kleenex. I've been biting my lip all morning, so wonderful day, I think. It's a great day to start this holiday. We remember our loved ones. I think they all know we're here. So enjoy the rest of your day. God bless each of you and your families, and of course, God bless America. Now we're going to conclude with the award-winning American Legion Band under the direction of Mike Fisk, and they're going to conclude our program with, I think, their signature song, Stars and Stripes Forever. Thanks so much for coming, everyone. Have a great day. God bless you all.